Yeah. I'm right back here. I calm my breathing and look up at him to at least show he hasn't broken my spirit. Kotomine Kotomine has not moved at all. He's just watching me running around. Gotta get in for stabby stab! No matter how many deep breaths I take, my heart won't stop pounding. It's warning me that it's at its limit. It needs rest. My heart is ready to burst if I don't rest. That's how rapidly it's thumping in my chest. It's all but jumping out my mouth at this point. I can't do anything. I can't get near Kotomine, and I can't stop the black mud. Yes, a stabby stab, totally, stabby stab. There's not enough for me to hold back. There's not enough time for me to hold back about using my projection. It's my only hope. If there's no way forward, I'll have to project Saber's sword again. It should be able to cut through that black mud and give me a chance to rush Kotomine. Just gotta create stabby stab! The moment he speaks, a tidal wave of mud crashes over me. I look up just in time to dodge. The mud itself isn't bad. It's slow compared to Saber strikes, even when we sparred, and it doesn't change direction, and so it's easy to dodge. But that only applies when there's just one tentacle. I can't handle multiple tentacles at once, or those that strike from behind as soon as I've dodged another. As a result, I can only move around, and still mud slowly covers me. There's no time to rest. I'm not going to be able to use my projection. Projection requires me to form an image of a weapon from the very beginning, so I need to add at least a full minute of concentration. But if I give Kotomine an opening like that, the only thing left of me will be smoking bones, if that much. Everywhere the mud touches me, I go numb. At least it's not painful, but if that mud covers my entire body, I might not even know whether I'm dead or alive. If it happens, I'm a goner. I'd melt away, bones and all. I can only run. I know it's only a matter of time until I run out of steam, but I have to keep running for now. I've no chance of reaching Kotomine while all I'm doing is avoiding the mud. The mud pours like a waterfall behind him, so trying that way isn't an option either. If I'm going to have any chance of getting near him, I have to do something about this mud. I can't believe it. I picked now of all times to trip. Kotomine stares down at me as if I were a piece of trash. Well, if it's midnight, so I'm gonna go to sleep. Thanks for joining, Kakarot. Sleep well. He points his finger at me, and several snakeheads rear up from the lake. Get up. I try to get up, but but fall again. I fall. I fall. The snakes pursue me. But I still fall. Why? 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 Black mud splashes over the back of my neck. Why? Now that I look closer, my right leg is entirely black.
そこまでか。少しは楽しめると期待したが、所詮は切り継ぐの息子。つくづく益にならぬ連中だ。
Stabby! Stab! I look up. I'm still conscious. My wrists and neck are bound in chains of mud, but I can still feel my body.
なんでとどめを刺さない。
無論すぐ終わらせるとも。だがそれでは芸がなかろう。お前は切り継ぐの贋作だからな。奴に受けた10年前の負債はお前の死で返してもらう。
My skin burns where the mud touches it. It feels like acid is seeping from my pores. I grit my teeth, trying to endure the pain, and check my right leg. It's completely black. I can't feel it. I can't feel it, and it won't move. Even I need to either get this mud out of me or pour magical energy through the affected areas and push out the coagulated blood. Either way, the moment I try to move my right leg, I'll probably tear every muscle in it.
そうかよ。そりゃ構わないが、お前なんだってそこまで切り継ぐを目の敵にするんだ。切り継ぐに聖杯を壊されたことがよっぽど悔しかったのか。
なに、近親憎悪というやつだ。私と切り継ぐは似ていたからな。奴の行為は全てが勘に触ったよ。ちょうどお前が私に嫌悪を抱くのと変わらない。
Except I'm pretty sure yours stems from a bro crush.
ふざけるな。切り継ぐとお前が似ているなんて間違っても口にするな。
なるほど。お前にとってはそうだろう。何しろ奴は私を見逃すほどの善人だったからな。あの大火災を引き起こした私を倒しただけで命までは取らなかった。それが間違いだったことをお前は知っているはずだ。切り継ぐさえ私を殺しておけば、あの孤児たちは穏やかな日常を送れたのだろうからな。反論できまい。だが私にとってもそれは不快な事実だった。私がではない。あれほど冷酷な魔術師だった男が敵を助けたという事実こそが不快だった。
That story again. Saber told me before that Kiritsugu was a first-class mage, and he would do anything to accomplish his goals. But then...
奴の過ちはそんなことではない。奴が犯した過ちはな、聖杯を壊しただけでこの戦いが終わったと思い込んだことだ。故に奴はお前に何も伝えず、聖杯戦争は終わったのだと楽観し、この呪いに侵されたまま人生を終えた。道家といえば道家だな。奴は自身を呪った私を見逃し、その果てに数年足らずで命を落とした。自分はことを成したと、聖杯戦争を終わらせたのだと勘違いの達成感を得たままでな。
Hold on. Does that mean Kiritsugu died because of Kotomine? What did the peaceful face he had on the night of his death mean?
そうだ。最後に聞いておこう。 切り継ぐの最後はどうだったのだエミヤシロ。息子であるお前に後を託し、何やら満足していったわけか。なんという道家ぶりだ。何一つとしてなせず、息子であるお前に責任を押し付け、さぞ滑稽に消えたのであろうな。
てめえ
I kick at the ground. I force my leg to move, flooding it with magical energy. Muscles tear, but I ignore it as I lunge forward on all four like a wild animal.
そうだ。その程度の気概がなくては話にならない。
Kotomine holds his hand over the waterfall behind him. I don't know what he's thinking. That cascade of mud is a curse so dense that it can be seen. It would be fair to call it a massive magical energy meant only to destroy people. There's no room to modify it or change its shape. Anyone who touches that mud will be contaminated by its potent curse, and then dissolve, as if the stuff were digesting them. Which means the pain and fear felt in those dying moments lingered as magical energy, becoming the next curse to seek out the living. Whoever touches that stuff will die. Any who touch it will die unless they can get the mud out of themselves. Even so, the priest sticks his hand into the waterfall, smiling. He fills his hand with darkness. I know instinctively that this will be different than before. A flash of light illuminates the world. The moment I realize it's the light of Saber's noble phantasm. The priest's words plunge the world into darkness. She'd been blinded by light a moment ago, but now she's cast into darkness. If she had been conscious, she would have seen that it was as a black polar light. I'm actually going to take a quick bio break. Give me a sec. All right, I'm back. And it crashed again? The darkness was momentary, but it's not. But it was not darkness. It was a warm. It was a swarm of tiny curses. The darkness sweeps her body away, and the discomfort jolts her to wakefulness. I sigh. The first thing her returning consciousness brings her is pain. I'm guessing that's a typo. It should be and it should be she size. And her flesh has been brutally savaged by blades of all sorts. She is a dismal sight. Ea defeated her. Gilgamesh unleashed his noble phantasms, and she could not defend against so many. Then Ea struck her. She barely managed to deflect it with the Excalibur, but the damage to her body was too severe. Her wounds healed on their own without using magical energy, but even the projection of the sacred sword sheath is unable to return her to full health in an instant. And then...
ここまでだセイバー。よもやその体でまだ敗北を認めぬなどと言わぬだろうな。
Gilgamesh walks forward, not a scratch on his armor. Saber lays on the ground, looking up at her enemy. There's nothing she can do right now. Nothing can stop him from doing whatever he likes with her now.
ギルガメッシュ、今の光は。
Despite the situation, Saber is more concerned about the light. That flash of light. That deep darkness that welled up from the far side of the temple for a moment and covered the world itself. She doesn't want to think about it, but that darkness might have been aimed at Shiro.
今の光か。お前ならばわかろう。あれは極大の呪いだ。琴峰が聖杯から直接呼び出したのだろうな。聖杯の中にはこの世のすべてを呪うなどというものがあるのだそうだ。先ほどから見えているあのお濁はな、聖杯から漏れている残りカスに過ぎん。その本体を出されたのだ。お前のマスターとてもはやこの世にはおるまい。
そんなことは。
He has yet to stabby stab! Saber wills her body to move. But she knows she can't. She can't just lay down, though.
嘘だ。シローは生きている。まだちゃんと。
She can still feel her connection with her master. It's weak, like the faint and embers of a fire on the verge of going out, but Shiro is alive. She has to keep going. If she fights something unheard of or incomprehensible, Shiro will be no match for it. Saber clings to that faint warmth and again wills herself to move. But it's useless. Even the sacred sword sheath needs a few more minutes to restore her.
もはや手遅れだ。おとなしくしていろよ、セイバー。お前が何をしようが次期聖杯は溢れ出す。10年前の再来だ。ただし、こたびの義は俺ではなくお前に与えられたものだがな。
The Golden Knight smiles as he turns his gaze up at the burning red sky.
喜べ、セイバー。あれを浴びればお前も俺と同じになれる。この世で肉を持ち第二の生を謳歌できよう。まあもっとも俺のように自我を保てるとは限らんが。
Saber looks up at him, bewildered. She can sense the immensity of the curse. It is a magnificent cluster of magical energy. With so much power, any magecraft would be possible. Were Caster to wield it, the possibilities would be endless. But it's a double-edged sword. It curses humans, and only humans. Even heroic spirits would not be able to remain themselves after coming into contact with that curse. That's when she realizes, Gilgamesh. A decade ago, that corruption even swallowed up the most ancient king of heroes. Then...
ギルガメッシュ、あなたは。
he's gone mad.
ほう、そう思うか、騎士よ。
Gilgamesh looks down at Saber, laughing merrily. It's strangely out of character for him, but the look seems somehow appropriate.
侮るな。あの程度の呪い、飲み干せなくて何が英雄か。この世すべての悪？はっ、俺を染めたければ、その3倍は持ってこい。良いか、セイバー。英雄とはな、己が視界に入るすべての人間を背負うもの。この世のすべてなぞ、とうの昔に背負っている。
Hearing those words, Saber gasps. She knows in that moment that she will never understand this heroic spirit. His unthinkable arrogance, the staggering ego leading him to believe heaven and earth exist only for him. His ruthless choices that bear no regard for anything but himself. And yet somehow he's still chaotic good. All of these things are completely opposite to her own beliefs of what it is to be a king. But he was a king. Even Saber cannot deny that. No other servant than Gilgamesh could have retained their sense of self after being bathed in that immensely powerful curse.
そうだな。泥を飲ませるのはいいが、それで自我を失われては楽しみがない。どれ、今のうちに婚姻を決めておくか。
Yeah.
ギルガメッシュ、貴様。
なんだ、手荒く扱われるのは趣味ではないか。
Stabby stab!
ならば慣れておけ。女と食事に出し惜しみはしない主義でな。気の向くままに奪い。
Ew! Like, again, he's the poster boy for toxic masculinity. Saber glares up at Gilgamesh as she hangs upside down.
サーバントとしてマスターに義理を立てているわけか。くだらんな。たかが霊樹の縛りでこの体をくれてやっていたとは。
それは違う。勘違いをするな、ギルガメッシュ。私は誰にも従わない。初めからこの体にそんな自由はないのだ。
ほう。ではどうあっても俺のものにはならないというのか。
His red eyes rake over Saber. They are entirely devoid of human emotion. If she disobeys, he will kill her. No matter how attached he may be to something, if it does not obey him, he will simply destroy it. That is simply how Gilgamesh sees the world. Saber doesn't look away. She simply glares hatefully at Gilgamesh.
ギルガメッシュ、私は誰のものにもならない。私はすでに国のものだ。この身は女である前に王なのだから。
She's not saying this to anyone in particular. She's simply expressing the tiny warmth still within her heart.
何を言うかと思えば。笑わせるな、セイバー。王にとって国とは己のものに過ぎない。何もかも支配できぬのならば、王などという超越者は不要なのだ。まったく。アーサー王よ。そんなだからお前は国によって滅ぼされたのだ。
The Golden Knight mocks her for her naivete. Her heart is set now.
ああ、その通りだ。だが英雄王よ。そんなだから、貴様は自らの国を滅ぼしたのだ。
Oh yeah, here we go! Such fierce spirit. Saber twists her entire body, using the leverage to kick Gilgamesh in the face with her free leg. Gilgamesh releases her. Saber stretches her arms out and arrests her fall, then springs upward.
男子を足毛におのれどうやら本格的にしつけられたいらしいなセイバー
She closes her eyes and looks within herself. It is no wonder your own country turned on you. It is not news to her. Since her summoning its saber, she's been hearing those words over and over. It's different with him. He grew angry with her as if it had been about him, but he also thought her actions were worthy of pride. She knows what she must do. Even if she has no hope of victory, she cannot stop here. She needs to do something while she can still feel that warmth inside her. She has to get to her master as fast as she can. She's about 8 meters from Gilgamesh. She positions herself at the ideal distance for intercepting an attack, which she's just experienced firsthand. Her body won't move the way she wants. She can barely grip her sword, and her legs are hardly able to bear her weight. Even a weak blow would be too much for her now. But she knows neither weakness nor hesitation.
一言聞いておくが
Even Gilgamesh feels he has to prepare himself. The Golden Knight readies Ea, his eyes on his opponent.
それは正気か
Saber doesn't answer. But her determination is there to see in her eyes.
よかろうならば加減はなしだ
The air itself roars. Ea, the sword of rupture from ancient Mesopotamia, is said to have divided heaven and earth to create the world. Gilgamesh, the king of heroes, readies his supreme sword to finally put an end to his enemy. The atmospheric vortex it creates, the sheer quantity of converging magical energy far exceeds Saber's Excalibur.
消えろ目障りだ
Gilgamesh raises his sword. Saber mirrors the movement in a perfect synchronization. Their eyes meet for an instant. Gilgamesh flourishes his sword. But Saber's sword falls to the ground, useless. She lacks the strength to activate her noble phantasm. The light which can sever all things bursts through her. Unable to do anything, she is swallowed up in the light. The moment I'm engulfed in darkness, hell itself is imprinted on my mind. 5 starting penalties: life, body, imprisonment, and humiliation, and finance. Let the myriad sins, mud, darkness, and malice continue to surround and punish all. Eliminate human rights through decapitation, exile, and repression. Let only body descend into a state of torment and debauchery. Eliminate group consensus by forfeiting honor. Die. Ridicule. Excuse me. Ridicule through greed and arbitrary decisions that freeze assets and property. imprisonment, fines, and the death penalty. Crimes committed in the name of personal grudges. Grudges committed to satisfy selfish desires. Crimes committed unconsciously. Crimes proclaiming self-consciousness as civil disturbance, solicitation, fraud, theft, robbery, kidnapping, self-harm, violence, arson, bombing, infringement, manslaughter, group violence, personal negligence, overconfidence. Accidents by intoxication, cover-ups, crimes for personal gain, crimes committed in the name of the ego, crimes committed in the name of love, crimes committed in the name of virtue, crimes committed in the name for themselves, theft and embezzlement, fraudulent cover-ups, contraband, crime, hate, grudge, attack, dirty. You're all dirty. Atone, and islands, crimes, victims, atone. This world is ruled by non-humans. Know your conscience to rectify your sins. Know the penalty of your sins. Herein lies the goodness of man, so plentiful that he is unaware of the totality of what he's exposed to. Know the violence used to cover up the crime. Know the authority that hides the crime. Know the malignancy of man and is here, so rare and so hard to find, and that it stands out in sharp relief. 100 benign and 1 malignant. To balance it out, the malignant shines strong. The rain is as mighty as the vicious evil to compete with the benign masses. As the 5 starting penalties. For you, and keep going on. Solicitation, fraud, theft, robbery, kidnapping, self-harm, tyranny, arson, infringement, dirty, you're all dirty. Atone, violence, crimes, victims, atone, die to atone. My brain's going to explode. The mud is eating away at my body. The mud eating away at my body does not peel off. It mercilessly robs me of my warmth. I feel the horrible curse crushing all my senses, crushing me. Darkness I can't look at directly. Ugliness I can't acknowledge. Crimes I want to run from. All man's sins. I'm going to die. Anyone caught in the darkness wouldn't be able to resist letting it detour them. Just from the sheer pain and disgust. But Kotomine said at once, this curse is what killed Kiritsugu. It's enough to banish the darkness. Heat returns to my body. Blood rushes through me. Wounded as I am, it helps me get back to my feet. And why not? I mean, Kiritsugu and Mia shouldered all of this for years. Did he die his own wishes as unfulfilled because those voices never stopped screaming at him to atone? He said he wanted to be a champion of justice. He ran around like an idiot trying to be useful to someone, and in the end, nobody let him do what he wanted to do. Even so, he still pursued something, the ideal he had given up on. And then, in the end, the words of some silly kid lifted a burden from him, and he finally let himself believe that everything would be okay. I have to stand up. I said I was going to take his place and carry on his dream. If I really am the son of Kiritsuga Miya, the champion of justice, I can't let the bad guy beat me. Tosaka told me, I need to win even if it kills me. Saber told me, Kotomine is the enemy I have to defeat. Even Kotomine said, if I'm going to fight, I should put my life on the line. That's right. What can I put on the line here if not my life? I don't have anything else to offer anyway. I desperately leap out of the mass of black bud. I can hear his surprise. My throat is burning. Every breath is like swallowing glass. I don't care. Tears of frustration stream down my face. I might just burst from the sheer anger before the curse can tear me apart.
バカな。あれを振り払ったというのか、お前が。
I push my body, forcing it to run. One hand goes behind my back. I grip the dagger I've been concealing this whole time.
呆れたな。あれから逃れたかと思えばその短絡思考。もはや万策尽きたというところか。
うるさい。初めから万策なんて持ってねえ。
I run. Kotomine sticks his hand into the waterfall behind him and draws another lump of darkness.
ではサーバントの後を追うがいい。先の光はセーバーが破れたものだ。お前にはもはや誰の助けもない。
There's no more hesitation now. If I get my hand on Kotomine, he will regret what he has just said more than anything else. I have a command spell left on my left hand. I don't know if I'm alive or dead, but that is proof is the proof, and I can feel the truth of it. As long as I still have my command spell, Saber is still with me. If she's still there, she must have defeated Gilgamesh and be headed to me right now. If I don't greet her with open arms, and when that happens, well, I know her well enough. I know her enough to know she'll be mad. So I'm going to beat you here and now, stabby stab, to fulfill the promise I made to her. Darkness closes in on me. Kotomine releases a giant mass of curse. My body begins to crumble, starting with the extremities. Huh, that's just not voiced. I won't look away. If this is my role, I'm not done yet. A fault line splits space itself. With a flash of light and a roar of wind, Ia releases a vortex of pure destruction. The sheer intensity prevents Saber from using her own noble phantasm, so she lowers her sword and lets herself sway as if collapsing. The light draws near. Saber's too injured to dodge. There's no shield capable of defending against Ia's attack. That furious dance of light and wind can only annihilate everything in its path. Nothing can stand up to Ia. It is an immutable fact. Both of them knew it to be true. A few hours ago. For once, that astonished cry comes not from Saber, but from the Golden Knight wielding Ia. Ia continues to release its torrent of magical energy, unleashing the ravening beam of destruction. But Saber is on her feet, stepping into the light of Ia's power. Her silver armor screams. crack, splinter, or every layer of splinter every layer of magical energy protecting her. With not a second to lose, she closes the gap between her and Gilgamesh. To counter Ia's destruction, Saber releases every drop of power at her command. The surging heat scorches the earth in all directions in a brilliant flash of light. Two titanically powerful swords clash, their power so vast it creates a visible border as the two struggle against each other. But is it all for nothing? Excalibur cannot beat Ia. Even if Saber risks her life and attacks without concern for the consequences, she can only push back just a small bit. The scale tilts in favor of Ia, and Excalibur's light weakens, pushing Saber back. The Golden Knight draws Ia back, but then he sees his enemy renewed. His enemy's renewed, reckless advance. So he pours more magical energy into Ia. There's no turning back now. All there is to do is use the full power to utterly annihilate Saber. Ia's segments spin faster and faster, reaching their maximum speed. The light that envelops Saber cuts Excalibur down. But in the instant before that happens, Saber charges. The tiny opening created by Excalibur's power allows her to take a single step closer. In the instant she reaches that space, her noble phantasm appears. Darkness buffets Shiro as if he were caught in a wind tunnel. There is no avoiding or deflecting darkness that coats space itself. Those swallowed by the darkness can only be consumed by it. He's corroding from the fingertips inward. His legs kick at the air as if swimming. His outreached arms are swallowed up by the black mud. His vision fails him. It's like being erased. Shiro feels himself shrinking, but he refuses to die. He tries not to look away. Pours every ounce of strength he has into resisting. He fights the darkness covering him, the pain trying to melt his body, and the curse trying to dissolve his mind. It's all in vain. No human could resist this corruption, and yet he continues to move. His arms still raised, held out, trying to grab something, but his heart is already broken. His thoughts are smothered in darkness, and soon it will consume him. But in that moment, why did he remember that voice? A light in the darkness. The moment he realizes it's that light, everything runs in reverse. The switch flips. His thoughts gain speed, creating crackling sparks, and form the shape within astonishing speed. He murmurs to cast the spell to begin projection. In that instant, it's complete, skipping every step of the manufacturing process. He didn't need to reproduce it from scratch. The shape that's already engraved into his very soul. It had been a part of Shiro and Mia for so long that he perfectly memorized it. His fingertips, desperately reaching, move again. They grab hold of the object he created without concentration or spell casting. The world turns on its head, darkness eradicated by golden light. In Shiro's grasp, duplicated flawlessly, is Saber's sheath. I forgot he managed to do that! And so, as Ia's all-destroying light burns away everything in its path, Saber releases her own noble phantasm. What appears before her is, without question, the sacred sword sheath. The mystics which shrouded it are unknown, but the sheath repels Ia's light. No, this is beyond simply defending its wielder. Instead, it cuts her off completely. The wall that keeps the filth from outside into the world of fairyland, a world that cannot be reached, forever isolated from the rest of the world. Saber is protected by the sheath of the sacred sword, and for a moment, she exists apart from all reason and logic in this world. It is the greatest protection in the world. Nothing, not even the 5 magics, can pierce this perfect defense. And so the sheath is named Avalon. Avalon, it is the place King Arthur is said to have gone after dying, the Utopia the king dreamed of, but could not yet reach. Gilgamesh sees the Grim Reaper raising its scythe. But it's too late. Ia won't stop rotating, and Gilgamesh can't retreat. How could he? Who could ever have believed that an attack with so much magical energy, such unimaginable power, could ever be blocked? A streak of blue surges. That is so awesome! Saber's armor is gone. She shed her armor so she could use its magical energy in her sword. Yes! The moment he takes the sheath, the darkness is dispelled. The darkness surrounding Shiro and Mia, the darkness that contaminated his body, fades all at once. But this should come as no surprise. The sacred sword sheath protects its owner. That filthy mud could not possibly destroy the embodiment of the Utopia the girl sought. He runs. In the instant the darkness is dispelled, he moves with all the speed of a comet. The priest, so assured of his own strength that the boy could afford no such, and the boy who could afford no such arrogance, face off. It is but an instant, but that instant decides the battle. Shiro runs, sometimes stumbling into all fours. In one hand, he holds the dagger. He scrambles forward on his hands and knees towards the priest. Shiro doesn't stop. He thrusts the dagger of retribution into the priest's chest. Payback, bitch! Steady stab! The priest turns slowly. Before he can leave, Shiro steps down on one foot to ground himself and turns in a circle, using the momentum of his dash. He inverts himself like a top as he floods his left hand with magical energy. And like a whirlwind, Stabby stab! Sorry, we gotta hear that.
Let's go!
His magical energy pours into the Azoth blade, along with the word trigger it to trigger its release. Saber swings her golden sword, but we are checking that first because this is at the end. I know it's for Saber. Still weird to me that they worded this in Japanese instead of in English. Avalon, the ever-distant Utopia. Rank EX, type barrier. Protects one person. The ability of Excalibur's sheath. The third noble phantasm that was lost. The sheath of the holy sword was excavated in Cornwall by Einsburn and returned to its owner across the ages. In the legend and of King Arthur, the true ability of the Holy Sword is the power of immortality that comes from its sheath. It has the ability to heal its owner's wounds and stop aging, but in actuality, it can be referred to as a mobile fortress that targets an individual. By unsheathing it and putting it in oneself in the home of the fairies, one can shut out any physical interference. It can even prevent interference from parallel worlds. An example of true magic. She must not have had the energy to push herself back up. Saber keeps her sword down, head down. Gilgamesh stares wide-eyed at the knight as she cuts him in half. In the silence after, the wind whispers through the compound. There remains not a trace of the light that had flooded the area seconds ago. The two knights do not exchange words. They simply stand, facing each other as the battle ends. Gilgamesh sighs. He lifts a hand and traces a finger along her cheek, as if to check the knight. And cut you in two, bitch! His golden armor begins to fade. The bloody king of heroes starts to disappear. His finger slips away from her. The arm he raised to touch her falls weakly. He clicks his tongue in displeasure, and then, at the end, he smiles ironically, then vanishes. Pale blue sparks flicker along the priest's form. They spread in all directions from where the dagger protrudes from his chest. No flesh falls away. There is no sign of bleeding. Even so, the battle comes to an end. He's not even looking at me. Instead, he stares down at the dagger in his chest in confusion. The wind is blowing. A gust of wind blows from the hollow overhead, muffling the sound around him. In the silence that follows, Kotomina's voice is low, humbling. I'm not sure how long he was thinking. He takes a deep breath and finally moves, having been motionless from the moment I charged him and impaled him with the blade.
そうか。以前気まぐれでどこぞの娘にくれてやったことがあった。あれは確か10年前か。 なるほど。私も衰えるはずだ。
Kotomine collapses. I watch it all unfold. Even on the brink of death, he spoke of himself as if he were talking about someone else. Finally, the priest sinks into that which he summoned, the very thing he wished for. And that is the end of Kirei Kotomine. The true end of a long battle. With the enemy defeated, only one task remains. The dark hollow in the sky. The mud had stopped pouring from it, but the eerie void continues to quicken. It's the Holy Grail. The omnipotent Grail said to be given to the winner of this war. The wind howls. With Kotomine gone, the power binding Elia vanishes. Elia's been released from the hollow, and now she sleeps beside me. She doesn't seem to be in danger of dying. She'll probably wake up after we go home and have Tosaka look over her. The war has ended. No one else will get hurt. We won't have to lose anyone else now. No more masters, and the servants will disappear now that their roles are over. I knew this was going to happen. I climbed those long stairs with her earlier. We've already said our goodbyes. All that's left is to bring the curtain down on this whole war. I look up at the hollow and wait, my heart as empty as that void. And then she appears. She walks right towards me, looking no different than when we first met. She stops once we're close enough to touch each other. We neither ask about each other's well-being nor offer any congratulations. This has already been decided. There's only one thing to do.
聖杯を破壊します。それが私の役割です。
Saber starts walking forward. The strong wind coming from the hollow did not deter her. She approaches one step at a time. She's within range. She quietly readies her sword and looks up at the black hollow. I just watch from where I stand. I clench my fists so hard they bleed. I bite my lip and try to hold back the feelings fighting for expression. I try to burn the image of her into my mind. And then...
マスター、命令を。あなたの命がなければ、あれは破壊できない。
Her back to me, she tells me to use my final command spell. When the Holy Grail is destroyed, Saber will disappear. No, since Saber will destroy the Holy Grail with her own hands, she won't have to become a servant. She only became a servant because she sought the Holy Grail. Destroying the Holy Grail should also void her contract, since she will have chosen to do it. The moment she destroys the Holy Grail, her life will end, but she will remain king forever.
シロ、あなたの声で聞かせてほしい。
I hear Saber. Every time I hear her voice, I want to scream. I want to tell her not to go. I want to scream my real honest desire. I want her to stay. And yet, I can't ever say that. I love Saber. I want her to be happy more than anything, and I want to be with her forever. But if I really love her, that's not what I should be doing. I love Saber for fighting her hardest, even when she was wounded. I gave up everything, and while she was torn apart, she still held to her conviction, even to the very end. If I think that is beautiful, if I think that is something worth protecting, then I can't destroy everything she stood for just for my own happiness.